12th March 2011. Two FBI agents sit in a bunker below Manhattan. Through their headphones, a voice calmly orders, "Move the 40 kilos tonight." Highway 15. That voice belongs to El Chapo, the most wanted man alive, head of a cartel that has murdered over 100,000 people. He built a $14 billion empire on one rule: no one hears his calls, ever. But someone is hearing them now. 3,000 miles south, a 24-year-old kid sits in a cartel safe house, two sicarios with AK-47s standing behind him. They think he's fixing a glitch. He's actually routing every word El Chapo speaks directly to the FBI. If they find out, they won't just kill him. They'll dissolve him in acid while he's still breathing. But here's what makes this insane. This kid didn't hack the network. He built it. He made El Chapo invisible to every agency on Earth. For 2 years, he sat across from the most dangerous man alive, sharing coffee, smiling, knowing one slipped word meant a machete to the throat. How did a college dropout become El Chapo's most trusted man? And will they ever know of his betrayal? 2008, the Mexican drug war is bleeding bodies across Sinaloa, Chihuahua, and Durango. The DEA is intercepting shipments on a weekly basis, and Joaquin Guzman knows exactly why. His phones. Every burner cell, every satellite line, the feds cracked them all. Wiretaps have already sunk two of his top lieutenants, Arturo Beltran Leyva and Ignacio Coronel Villarreal, and put a third on the run. El Chapo's patience has snapped. He needs to vanish from the airwaves entirely. He needs a communications network no agency on Earth can penetrate. Here is where Christian Rodriguez appears. He's not a cartel soldier or a veteran smuggler. He's a 21-year-old Colombian with gel-spiked hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and a laptop bag slung over one shoulder. A college dropout who launched an IT consulting firm in Medellin because corporate work bored him to tears. A cocaine supplier friend named George Cifuentes passes his name up the chain to Sinaloa. Within weeks, Christian receives an offer delivered by men who carry guns and don't accept no. Build El Chapo a ghost network. Make the Sinaloa cartel invisible. Christian starts with servers. He rents data center space in Canada, neutral ground, strong privacy laws, minimal cooperation with US agencies, and registered under shell companies with fabricated names and routing numbers. These servers will funnel every cartel voice call and text message through encrypted tunnels, stripping metadata and scrambling content with AES-256 encryption, the same standard used by intelligence agencies worldwide. To any surveillance system, the traffic looks like meaningless digital noise, impossible to decode, untraceable to Mexico. Next, Christian distributes custom hardware, modified Blackberries, and ruggedized Nokia E71 handsets loaded with proprietary VoIP software he coded himself. Each device connects exclusively to the cartel's private servers. No cell towers, phone companies, or records. But what about the mountain hideouts and jungle labs where cell signals die against the terrain? Christian flies to Colombia and personally installs concealed Wi-Fi transmitters atop remote ranches and cocaine processing facilities scattered through the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. He daisy-chains the signals across ridgelines, creating a clandestine intranet spanning hundreds of kilometers. A boss in Mexico City can now call a lieutenant hiding in the Colombian highlands, and the call bounces through Christian's private infrastructure without ever touching a public network. El Chapo has his own internet. He is the only subscriber. The results arrive fast. By mid-2009, Sinaloa's communications vanish from every surveillance grid. DEA wire rooms go silent. Agents who once tracked burner phones in real time now hear nothing but static and dead air. El Chapo is delighted beyond measure. He starts calling Christian my computer and pays him $500,000 in cash delivered in a duffel bag by an armed courier. Rival cartels catch wind of the system's effectiveness and reach out quietly, offering lucrative contracts to build similar networks. Christian declines everyone. A single client is more than enough when that client can have you skinned alive, dipped in acid, and dissolved without a trace for disappointing him. If you've ever wondered how a criminal empire actually operates in the 21st century, this is the blueprint. Not through muscle alone, but through infrastructure so sophisticated that law enforcement can't even prove it exists. And if you are finding this story as gripping as I think you are, hit subscribe now because the betrayal at the center of this network is about to unfold in ways you won't predict. By 2010, Christian Rodriguez has become indispensable. He is the only person who fully understands the architecture. When a server hiccups at 3 a.m., El Chapo calls him personally. The pressure is suffocating. Every bug Christian fixes is a life preserved, specifically his own. Then, he slips. Late 2010, Christian forgets to renew a critical software license. The encryption falters. For 72 hours, the ghost network goes dark, forcing Chapo's lieutenants onto ordinary cell phones. Panic spreads through the organization. A furious supplier named George Cifuentes phones Christian directly. You are responsible for this system. Always working. Understand? Christian hears the threat beneath the words. He's seen what happens to people who fail El Chapo. Shallow graves and acid baths are the most chill options. He fixes the license and resolves never to sleep soundly again. But while Christian fortifies the network against technical failure, a different kind of threat is forming 3,000 miles north. The FBI has noticed encrypted traffic pinging anonymous servers in Canada. They can't read the content, but they can trace the architecture. And one name keeps surfacing in informant debriefs: the Colombian kid who handles tech. Agents begin assembling a file. They don't want to arrest Christian Rodriguez. They want to recruit him. What does it take to flip a man who works for the deadliest cartel on the planet? And will Christian betray them? October 2010. Christian receives an intriguing offer. A Russian organized crime figure wants to meet him in Manhattan. The Russian needs a secure communications network, something like what Christian built for Sinaloa. The money is excellent. Christian is cautious, but also quietly flattered. His reputation has spread. He agrees to the meeting and slips into the United States under cartel protection. Imagine the scene. A young technician in a hotel bar near Times Square expecting to discuss encryption fees with a foreign client. Instead, two men in suits approach showing their badges. Before Christian can react, he is escorted through a side door and into an unmarked sedan. The Russian mobster never existed. The FBI has been hunting him for months, and they've just sprung their trap. In a grey interrogation room, agents lay out Christian's options. They know he built El Chapo's network. They know he's complicit in trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. They can charge him as a narco-terrorist, 20 years to life in federal prison where cartel reach extends even behind bars. Or Christian can cooperate, help the FBI penetrate the network, bring down El Chapo from the inside, and walk away with a new identity and a future. Christian does not ask for a lawyer. He does not ask for time. He agrees that same afternoon. Maybe he always knew this door existed, an escape hatch from the monster he helped create. The FBI agents can't believe their luck. But they don't just want testimony. They want the network itself. They want Christian to return to the cartel as a double agent and install a backdoor the FBI can exploit in real time. Christian's stomach drops. Going back means sitting across from El Chapo, smiling, pretending nothing has changed while secretly feeding every word to federal agents. The prospect is horrifying. But he nods. There's no retreat now. Over the following months, Christian meets handlers in clandestine locations across Colombia and Mexico. In one Bogota safe house, he hands over server passwords, network maps, and encryption keys. The FBI now holds the skeleton key to Sinaloa's communications. But there's a problem. The servers sit in Canada beyond US jurisdiction. Breaking the encryption externally would take years. The FBI needs to be inside the network. So, they devise an audacious plan. Christian will convince El Chapo to migrate the entire system to new servers located in the Netherlands where US intelligence already has covert access through allied agencies. Christian must sell the move as a security upgrade. One wrong word and he's dead. He approaches the cartel leadership in mid-2011. The Canadian hosting provider is getting unreliable, he explains. Downtime risks are increasing. A Dutch data center offers faster connections, better encryption, and more storage. We should migrate before someone catches on. El Chapo hesitates, but Christian has never failed him. The kingpin greenlights the switch. Christian confirms the date with his FBI handlers. Agents in The Hague prepare a mirror server rigged for interception. In Mexico, Christian loads a laptop with FBI-modified code. He boards a plane knowing that the next time he touches a keyboard, he will be committing treason against the most violent criminals on earth. Can a lone engineer outmaneuver a cartel in real time? And if they notice, what can they do to Christian? Midnight. A guarded safe house on the outskirts of Medellin. Rain drumming against corrugated metal roofing. Christian sits before two monitors in a cramped back room. Code scrolling across both screens in green text. The air smells of cigarette smoke and gun oil. Outside the door, a sicario named Flaco paces the hallway. AK-47 slung across his chest. Gold chain glinting against his neck. He's been assigned to watch the IT guy, making sure nothing goes wrong. On one screen, Christian is logged into the Canadian servers through an encrypted SSH tunnel. On the other, the Dutch servers await, secretly pre-configured by FBI technicians to mirror every packet to a listening post in The Hague. Christian announces to the guards behind him, starting the security upgrade now. System might lag for a few minutes. Don't touch anything. They nod and light fresh cigarettes. Everyone trusts the IT guy with nerd stuff. Christian's finger hovers over the enter key. His throat is dry. This is the point of no return. Then, he initiates the transfer. Terabits of voice data, chat logs, and encryption keys begin streaming from Canada to the Netherlands. A progress bar crawls forward. Simultaneously, Christian pushes a silent update to every cartel handset, Blackberries and Nokias across 3 countries, redirecting them to the new server address. If everything works, users won't notice a thing. For the first 2 minutes, the migration runs clean. Christian watches dozens of active calls clone over in real time. File names scrolling in a verification window. He allows himself a sliver of hope. Then, a red error flashes across his console. A key database isn't syncing. Christian's throat tightens. He types a patch. Hands trembling. The transfer resumes. Come on, come on. And then, the worst happens. An incoming call from El Chapo himself begins routing mid-migration. The system stutters. In Sinaloa, El Chapo is speaking to a lieutenant, and their voices dissolve into static. Christian's phone buzzes instantly. A bodyguard's voice. Jeffy says the call is cutting out. What's happening? The armed men in the room turn toward him. Christian forces a smile. Tell him it's the upgrade. Minor hiccup. Almost done. His voice cracks. On his dashboard, he sees Chapo's call. Reconnect to the Dutch server. But the kingpin is impatient. A message appears from Chapo's handle. Christian, what's happening? Christian has seconds to respond before suspicion hardens into certainty. He types, new firewall. Jeffy, stronger encryption. Call quality back to normal now. Then, the line stabilizes. Chapo grunts, irritated but satisfied. The hiccup lasted 20 seconds. In a New York office, FBI agents exhale. They heard the crackle and assumed their mole was dead. Finally, a green notification pings. Migration complete. Christian runs a test call. Perfect clarity. Upgrade successful. He announces. A guard claps him on the shoulder. Good job, nerd. They have no idea. The FBI now has root access to the Sinaloa cartel's most guarded secrets. In The Hague, a hidden tap duplicates every packet. In New York, servers begin filling with crystal-clear recordings of cartel phone calls. After years of silence, Uncle Sam is listening to everything. Christian slumps in his chair, drained. He just pulled off the digital equivalent of swapping the crown jewels for a forgery. But as adrenaline fades, dread replaces it. Now he must live with this secret. Every morning he will wake up, look murderers in the eye, and pretend he hasn't betrayed them. How long can you play tech support for the devil before getting burned? With the network compromised, intelligence floods FBI offices from New York to Mexico City like water from a broken dam. Up to 200 encrypted calls pour in daily. Shipment coordinates specifying exact weights and rendezvous points. Assassination orders naming targets by nickname. Bribe negotiations with police commanders and politicians whose names would shock the public. Agents build cases in secret, careful not to act too quickly or too broadly. If the cartel senses a leak, Christian is dead within hours, and Christian is still at his post, trapped in a nightmare of his own engineering. By day, he troubleshoots login issues for killers and drug lords, walking them through password resets with a steady voice, explaining encryption settings with patient clarity. By night, he meets handlers in shadowed parking lots and cheap motels along the Medellin-Bogota highway, passing flash drives loaded with intercepted calls and handwritten notes pinpointing code words the cartel uses for cocaine shipments, execution orders, and payoffs. The psychological damage accumulates like scar tissue every time his phone buzzes with a message from J. El Chapo's contact alias. His pulse spikes and his vision tunnels. Is this it? Has he been discovered? The recordings force him to witness horrors he never imagined. One afternoon, hunched over his laptop in a safe house kitchen, he listens through earbuds as Chapo calmly orders a public execution. Make it loud. I want people to see what happens. He specifies the method. A message carved into the body afterward. On another intercepted call, Christian hears a man screaming in the background. As interrogators extract information through methods that make his stomach lurch. The call lasts 1 minute. The screaming never stops. He built this network to protect these men. Now he maintains it to destroy them, absorbing every atrocity in between while pretending nothing has changed. You might expect exposure to daily violence to harden a person. Instead, it's breaking Christian apart from the inside. He stops sleeping more than 90 minutes at a stretch, his mind replaying intercepted conversations in a loop. He starts seeing sicarios in every shadow, even when alone in his apartment, checking closets, peering behind shower curtains, sleeping with a loaded pistol under his pillow. He loses 18 pounds in 4 months. His hands shake so badly at one FBI check-in that he drops the memory card twice while trying to pass it over. "Hang in there," the handler tells him, voice low. "Just a little longer. You're doing great." Christian nods. Inside, he's screaming into a void that no one else can hear. El Chapo, meanwhile, grows suspicious. By 2012, too many shipments are getting intercepted under strange circumstances. The kingpin orders his inner circle to hunt for a rat. And ironically, he turns to Christian for help. "I want you to install spyware on my people's phones." Chapo instructs, "My lieutenants, my wife, my girlfriends. I need to know who's loyal." Christian's stomach drops. The boss wants him to conduct a mole hunt while the mole stands right in front of him. He has no choice but to comply. Over the next weeks, Christian infects dozens of Blackberries with FlexiSPY, commercial surveillance software that lets Chapo monitor calls and texts remotely. Then Christian immediately hands those credentials to the FBI. The betrayal now has 3 layers. The lieutenants believe their network is sacred. It isn't because Chapo is spying on them. Chapo believes the spyware protects him. It doesn't because the FBI sees everything he sees, including private messages from his wife, Emma Coronel, and his mistresses. The cartel's digital fortress has become a hall of mirrors, and Christian built every reflection. The pressure ratchets beyond endurance. Chapo expects to uncover a traitor among his men any day now. He reviews intercepted messages with Christian at his side over breakfast, grumbling about disloyalty, pointing at screen names, and demanding explanations, never realizing the real traitor is sitting 3 feet away, sharing his coffee, watching him scroll through stolen data. Christian nods at appropriate moments, heart hammering against his ribs, smile frozen in place like a mask he cannot remove. By late 2012, the strain has carved itself into his body. He's lost 22 pounds. Dark circles hollow his face like a skull pushing through skin. One night in November, after hearing yet another murder plot discussed over his network in casual tones, a rival's wife and children to be killed as leverage, he staggers to the bathroom and vomits until his ribs ache. He knows the clock is ticking towards 0. When the FBI finally moves, every finger in the cartel will point at the man who managed their communications, the man who vanished the same week everything collapsed. Then, in early 2013, Christian intercepts the call that changes everything. 2 high-level operators, names he recognizes from dozens of previous recordings, discuss a massive cocaine shipment scheduled for the following month. More crucially, they mention the exact safe house near Culiacan where El Chapo plans to stay for 3 nights during transit. GPS coordinates embedded in the call metadata. Christian's hands tremble as he copies the transcript. He forwards the location data to his handler through a secured dead drop. The response arrives within 6 hours. "We've got it. This is it. Time to pull the plug." The words send ice through his veins. End game. Within days, coordinated raids will roll up as much of the Sinaloa network as American and Mexican forces can reach. Dozens of arrests, seizures of cash, weapons, product, and for Christian, that means one thing: extraction. He won't get another chance to slip away alive. His handler gives simple instructions: disappear on the day of the raids. Stay away from any cartel property. A safe pickup will be arranged at a designated location, a gas station 30 kilometers outside Medellin. Just make sure you're nowhere near Chapo or his sicarios when the chaos starts. Christian goes to bed that night drenched in sweat, a loaded Glock 19 under his pillow, sheets twisted around his legs, Sleep doesn't come. He stares at the ceiling, listening to every creak, every distant engine, every dog barking in the night. By dawn, he will either be free of this hell or silenced forever in a shallow grave. What does betrayal look like when it finally steps into the light? 8th January 2016. A luxury seaside condo in Los Mochis, Sinaloa, waves crashing against rocks below the balcony. Joaquin Guzman's encrypted phone buzzes with an incoming call, but his ghost network has gone completely dark. The servers don't respond. The system he trusted with his life, the system he paid $500,000 to build, gives him nothing but silence. Moments later, the building shakes with concussion grenades. Mexican Marines, guided by US intelligence and satellite positioning, storm the complex in a hail of automatic fire. El Chapo bolts from his bed in boxer shorts, sprints down a hallway, and drops through a hidden tunnel beneath the bathtub as bullets shatter tile around him. The tunnel leads to a drainage pipe that empties into a ditch beside the highway. But the dragnet is too tight this time. Every exit is covered. After 3 decades of narrow escapes and legendary tunnel flights, the most dangerous drug lord in the Western Hemisphere is captured crawling through mud in a storm drain beside Highway 15, the same highway he used 1,000 times to move cocaine north, across Mexico and the United States. Coordinated raids sweep up dozens of Sinaloa operatives. Safe houses are emptied. Stash sites fall. The takedown is powered by years of secretly recorded calls. Every voice, every order, every bribe negotiation preserved on FBI servers. And Christian, he's gone. The young engineer who sat at El Chapo's right hand has vanished like smoke. In the chaos, he slipped out of cartel territory under FBI protection, boarded an unmarked plane, and landed in the United States clutching a new identity. He knows the cartel will eventually connect the dots. The quiet IT guy who disappeared the same week the network died. He will be marked for life. For now, he is alive, breathing free air through a fog of panic attacks and insomnia. The years of terror have shattered him. In 2013, shortly after extraction, he suffered a complete nervous breakdown requiring hospitalization and electroconvulsive therapy to pull him from the darkness. The FBI guards his identity obsessively. Even courtroom sketch artists are forbidden from drawing his face. Fast forward to February 2019. Brooklyn, New York. The trial of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman dominates headlines worldwide. Inside a packed federal courtroom, prosecutors begin playing something extraordinary. El Chapo's own phone calls, crisp and clear. The jury hears the kingpin's high-pitched voice arranging shipments, joking about arming his toddler daughter, negotiating bribes with Mexican officials. The once untouchable boss shifts at the defense table, visibly unnerved. He recognizes these voices. One of them is his. Then the courtroom doors open, and Christian Rodriguez, now 32, wearing a suit and tie, walks to the witness stand. The tension turns electric. El Chapo locks eyes with the man who engineered his communications empire, the quiet kid he paid $500,000 to keep his secrets safe. In that instant, Guzman understands. The ghost that destroyed him wasn't a rival boss or a DA technician. It was his own computer guy. Christian avoids eye contact. In a steady, soft voice, he recounts how he built the network and how he helped the FBI hijack it from within. Prosecutors play intercepted calls as evidence. Chapo ordering executions. Chapo discussing cocaine logistics. Chapo mocking the authorities who would never catch him. The jury watches the defendant's face as his own words bury him. After decades of seeming invincible, El Chapo is utterly exposed. No tunnel can dig him out of this courtroom. In February 2019, the jury convicts him on all 10 counts. Months later, a judge sentences him to life plus 30 years at ADX Florence, the federal supermax in Colorado, a concrete tomb from which no one has ever escaped. Christian Rodriguez vanishes again, absorbed into the US Witness Protection Program with a new name and a closely guarded location. He will spend the rest of his life checking over his shoulder, knowing a vengeful cartel would pay millions to learn his whereabouts. The man who built the Sinaloa cartel's phantom communications is now a phantom himself. In the end, Christian traded his identity for his life. He outsmarted the most dangerous criminal organization in the Western Hemisphere and erased himself in the process. The invisible network he created led to El Chapo's downfall, but it also dissolved the engineer behind it. Christian Rodriguez got his freedom. He will just never be Christian Rodriguez again. If you want to see what happens when someone betrays an organization even more powerful than the Sinaloa cartel, watch how one NSA contractor exposed the biggest surveillance program in history and became the most wanted man in America.